Hello there, welcome back to the season 2 of Empathetic Educators. I'm your host, 𝕊𝕐𝕤𝕤𝕤𝕤, and I am just so excited to have you back here today. Or if it's your first time, I'm so excited for you to join us. Either if you're listening on audio or if you can see it visually, I am so excited to share the top tip takeaways that we have. We have a webinar coming up at the end of this season with our amazing guest throughout the whole show, George Couros. We have educators from all across the world joining us each week, and just amazing things that you can take away into your lessons or into your home as well. So I'm so excited to have you here as part of the journey and to get started. So here we go. Welcome on board Adventure Airways with Empathetic Educators. I'm your cabin host, like I said, 𝕊𝕐𝕤𝕤𝕤𝕤, and I am so excited, like I said, to be sharing season 2 and onwards what's going to be happening. So if you're watching on YouTube, then you'll be able to see the visual that's around me, our boarding pass. And if you're listening on audio, I'm going to go through what you have in store as part of this season. So as you can see on this side, if you're watching, we have a Twitter chat that happens every 2 weeks, and it has just happened because we are going to be releasing the session after the Twitter chat every 2 weeks on a Sunday. If you've heard of the chat, Empathetic_Educators Amazing. If you haven't, then it's basically a place where I release questions to educators, to parents, to all different things on Twitter, and it's an hour-long chat where we just share our reflections, share our experiences, and share lots of takeaways, lots of resources that I've been just implementing into my classroom as well. And it follows the tagline, let's get nerdy. So we look at topics like neuroscience, empathy, relationships, design thinking, and psychology. So bringing all those things together into the chat, which is just, it makes my brain buzzing. And like you can see below, if you're watching, we have an amazing app where all those things go on to. So you can download it, bit.ly/educators app. It's free. Yes, I said free. And the podcast goes on it, the blog posts go on it, all those different reflections from all the amazing people that come as part of this show, all go into that app. So like I said, download it, bit.ly/educators app, free to get onto your phone, or you can just look it up on the website as well. As you can see on this side, we have our amazing webinar happening on the 5th or the 6th of December, depending on where you are in the world, with George Couros. And like it says on the boarding pass for you, its winners get to actually come on to the show and interview George and be part of the conversation as well. So watch out for how you can join in with that webinar. The news coming throughout this show. And that brings us to our little tiny segment on our boarding pass of these amazing educators that are part of the show today. And they are the kindness coach, who just blows me away with all the amazing things that he's doing to build empathy and to build kindness across the world. And Steph_EdTech, who I met as part of my Google Innovator course, and she just is amazing. I call her my Wonder Woman because she just blows me away with how much she brings and how much she brings to other people. So I'll let them introduce themselves, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Hi, so happy to be here. I am Stephanie Rothstein. I am coming to you from the United States in California, and I live in Northern California specifically. My job is a TOSA, a teacher on special assignment, focusing on educational technology in the classroom. I help support the educators in my district with EdTech. In addition to that, I also am still in the classroom. So I'm part-time in the classroom, and I chair a design-based learning pathway and a design thinking pathway, I should have said. And I teach the English classes in that pathway. And so when it comes to relationships, my big focus, my big drive for this year, part of my Google Innovator big project, or second project, I should say, is all about that, is all about relationships. So I started what is called Can We Talk EDU, and I help people build relationships, and we can talk more about that. But I really focus a lot on personality and learning style and how to embrace all people in a room and how to learn from one another and focus on the idea of growing and learning from each other.
Love it. And my nickname for you is my Wonder Woman. So yeah, love it. You have so much stuff that you do. I love it. Definitely. Thank you. And John, lovely to have you here.
Thank you, Stephanie, for sharing your world with us all. Thank you so much. And Naomi, really grateful to be here and be part of this amazing vibe, really just, putting more loving kindness out into the world. So John Magee, the kindness coach and UK ambassador for schools, if not the world now, because a lot of inquiries coming in from the USA, Stephanie, which is fantastic. And I know that our American brothers and sisters love us, us Europeans or our Brits across the pond, so to speak. So yeah, it's lovely to be getting so many inquiries, in the States, as in different parts, East Coast, West Coast, which is good. Yeah, so I eat, breathe, and sleep kindness. I'm the founder of Kindness Matters, the 30-day challenge. My organization is Kindness Matters. Best-selling author of Kindness Matters, would you believe it? And like I said, I just love seeing the transformation in teachers, in children, in anybody that just gets involved with the Kindness Matters 30-day challenge. I've been on this journey since 2009, maybe 2008. And some days, even though when it's a little bit challenging than others and tiring, I do pinch myself and I think, wow, I feel like I'm dreaming, because I'm in such a privileged position to be a positive role model, because it wasn't always like that, as you know, Naomi. But it's just great to be in such a privileged, position, and to see now in the world how in education e-learning is really coming to the forefront now, and seeing schools from all around the globe embracing, programs like My Kindness Matters 30-day e-learning program, and then believing in me. Schools I've never get an opportunity to, and people like Stephanie, we wouldn't be having these connections now, would we, if it wasn't for Zoom, and be able to collaborate and trust each other and just be our own authentic selves. It's just, I don't know if it's just me, it's magical. And just one last thing, like what Stephanie said, something really good there, and it's got me juiced up now, was the word relationships. And for me, I won't have anybody else say anything different. I think kindness is one of the best tools you can have when you come from the authentic self, and anybody knows that you are sincerely caring about them and their well-being, whether it's psychological or emotional well-being. That's when we get the relationship. It's like what my old NLP teacher told me. He said, John, once you get the hook in the gut, they'll do anything. And that is the hook in the gut. You send your kindness out, bang, relationship.
And literally, like that, both those introductions could be like the segment done. Literally, see you later. That's it. There's enough sound bites in that little introduction that you both gave that would create the whole show, really. So thank you so much. I think like you mentioned trust, you mentioned authenticity, you mentioned relationships. I think all those things are really like we're going to come back to throughout the show, because that's foundations, like you say. Those foundations, once they're built, can create so many amazing things in the classroom, but also with learners, but with your colleagues as well. So having that vulnerability and sharing are just so important. So yep, amazing. And that's why I'm so excited to have both of you as part of the first show. I'm so excited. So like you said, I think I'd just like to introduce, I've just yesterday, which I'm really excited about, sent you both a little care package for empathetic educators. I'm so excited. It's only
little small thing, obviously, because like it's coming from Japan and all those things around the world. But you will get a little mask that has like our little global like unite logo on it, and I'm so excited because that, like you just said, like this wouldn't be happening if we didn't have the e-learning, like the globe, actually, like us sharing that with each other. And I'm in Japan, Stephanie, you're in America, and John, you're in like the UK. Like it's crazy. Just that I know time differences are one thing we have to juggle, which is why I'm awake at 5 and why you're awake at 9 and why we're in the middle of the day in America. But it's I'm just like you say, like that excitement just gets me so buzzing. So I'm so grateful and so happy for you guys to be here. And I just want to introduce our little mascot, because we've
Oh,
also got
brilliant.
a little
Oh,
he's part of your care package as well, which you'll see. And he's part of the Perspective Panda family, and you'll get to name your little panda as you come along as well. So yeah, so your
wow.
one, this one's the bigger one because he's part of like the show all the time, but you've got a little mini one coming along your way. So yeah,
Oh,
i'm
thank
uh
you.
I'm excited for you guys to get your little Perspective Panda as well. So yeah, it should be hopefully I sent it yesterday, so hopefully you should be getting it in the next week. So
Okay, let's just stop there and I'll introduce my amazing mascot that's going to be helping me as part of season 2 and onwards with Empathetic Educators. We have our Perspective Panda. Now, these animals are my favorite animals in the world. So I thought, as part of Empathetic Educators, the tagline is our choices have an impact. So what impact are you going to have? So one of the impacts I wanted to have is raising awareness for pandas, because they have gone from endangered to vulnerable. Yes, vulnerable. So that means that they're still need taken care of. So I want to raise awareness for pandas, but also I want to raise awareness so how we can help each other across the world. So as part of our Perspective Panda mascot, we have Global Light Unite. And as you can see in the visual, if you're watching, we have some educators from all around the world who've already got their care package from Empathetic Educators. Like you can see, Craig Kemp is wearing his mask, and it's hashtag Global Light Unite if you wanted to take part. It's going to be every Thursday that we are sharing perspectives and just sharing a little bit of happiness and joy with our Perspective Pandas as well. So if you want to, then you can type in bit.ly/global unite and you can actually sign up to get your own very own. This is our big mascot that I'll be keeping as part of the show. But you, like you can see with Craig on the visual, you get your own little panda to join in. So some of them are sitting up, some of them are lying down, some of them are pulling faces. Just to bring a little bit of joy and a little bit of perspective that we can share. But the reason why we're part of Adventure Airways is because we can't really travel at the minute. So it's also going to be a way that we can share where we are in the world, and having that Global Light Unite, having us sharing that positivity and a little bit of perspective from each other too. So like I said, if you want to sign up, you can get lots of little goodies, postcards, little pandas, and a mask, and a little positivity message to go along with it. You can sign up and it's completely free. bit.ly/global unite. You can find a little bit more about that. I hope you can join in the fun. And if you don't want to get the little care package, you can still sign up with hashtag global_light_unite. You can still join in with the fun on Twitter as well. So I hope to see you soon as part of the Global Light Unite mission. And next up we have George Couros sharing his light and what his takeaways are from the book and from life in general. So I would love to hear what your takeaways are as you're listening or as you're watching the show. You can share a hashtag empathetic_educators and you can tag me in it, Naomi_𝕊𝕐𝕞 on Twitter. And I'd love to continue the conversation with you. Hope you enjoy.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I've really worked on myself, both in a virtual and like online environment and face-to-face, is when I am struggling with the concept or the idea of what someone shares, I don't actually make a statement, but I ask a question. And the reason I ask a question is maybe I misinterpreted, maybe, I'm missing something that was meant, and then it's conversational. But other part of it too is I really focus on listening to what that person has said. And even if I still disagree with them, where are the places that we actually are on the same page? And so people know that we're actually kind of fighting the same battle. We're actually focused on doing the same thing. And I think really when we're actually challenging ideas, I think it's good, but do we actually start by challenging by making statements and making assumptions, or do we actually ask questions so we can have a better understanding of what is being said? And like, you know, your whole podcast about the idea of empathy, that is kind of rooted in the notion of empathy, is I don't always know how the person's day is going. I don't know kind of what's going on with them. And I don't know that was the character limit in a tweet. Did it actually leave out something that they want to say, but they couldn't fit it in? And really, when you ask those questions, you start digging into this. And I would actually when I look at this, I always look at like, I want to feel that the way that you're challenging me would be the same way that you would challenge my daughter in a classroom. And how are you doing that? And would I be comfortable watching that interaction? And so that's something that's really important for me. And I'm like, I wish I could say, oh, I'm 100%, I've never done it wrong. And yeah, of course I've, done things and probably made people, feel less than in maybe an interaction. And I try to be overly thoughtful of that. I shared in a podcast, and I know this is a weird thing to say, I just assume everyone's having mental health issues in this. I know it sounds bad at first, because if I assume that you're having some issue there, I'm going to be much more thoughtful, as opposed to like, maybe your day is going bad. And so I just always try to do that because it makes me nicer. And what's the worst harm of me being too nice to a person that I disagree with? And so like, I know that sometimes people will tweet things that are, they might not think twice of, and it sits with me all day because it was like the 10th thing in a day. And I was just like the final straw. So I just try to always have an understanding that people are going through things that I don't see, especially on the other side of the screen, and I can't see their face, can't see their reaction. And I think that really ties into the notion of empathy, is understanding like, I've gone through stuff and I can have bad days, so maybe that person is too. And so if I treat them that way by default, then the conversation is always going to be to a positive.
I think there's big takeaways from that, and I think it relates exactly back to like the trust and authenticity and like kindness, like all those messages that we were talking about before. So kind of, yeah, what's your kind of takeaways from that session, Stephanie?
Oh, I was about to say, John, go right ahead, because I went first before. But okay, I was writing so many things down because so many things connected with me as he was talking. Being someone where my classroom is all built around design thinking, so we begin in a place of empathy. I started to think about the projects that I do in my classroom, and we recently we're in the middle of or about to be presenting travel blogs. It's probably my, in terms of authenticity of a project, I won't say least authentic, but it's one of the projects that kind of warms us up to the idea of doing things that really exist and impact the world and connect with presenters and have people built in. So it's rooted in mythology. It's one of the 9th grade curriculum pieces. But when I started to think about travel, how to make it authentic, I said, we need to begin in a place where we actually interview people. Like, we need to talk to people. So all of my students went out and conducted these travel, and I called them travel empathy interviews. And it was about understanding from a user's perspective, what is it that people desire when they travel? What would make it easier on them? Why do they travel? And they came up with all these questions themselves. And when we started to analyze even the questions, I was thinking about what George was saying about the way that when you listen to people, that you really authentically need to be listening. So we talked a lot about that, and I think it's a difficult challenge as an adult. It's a challenge as a 9th grader when I'm talking to them, when I'm helping other teachers, right? To not already have this preconceived notion of what the answer should be or what I'm thinking I want to respond to them, and really to base my response on what they've said and how to ask more questions so that they can lead themselves to an answer. And I think that's been a giant shift in me in the way that I even interact with students in the classroom, is that it is not my job to give them the answer. It is my job to help them find it for themselves. And it is my job to help them learn that every person around them has something to contribute to that conversation. And so if I can do that, then we will get to a better, more authentic place where people are valuing the insights of everyone around them, And I hope that I do that by leading and beginning in a place of empathy and questioning, and really trying to be thoughtful about that person that is sitting across from you, whether virtual or in person.
I love it. And I think it's so, and then you teach in ninth grade, but I'm actually in grade 3, and I think it just shows, like you say, adults need to work on that. Like ninth grade need to work on it. Grade 3, that's exactly what we're doing, is doing interviews with trying to find out about what teamwork looks like in our school, and it's such an important and empowering thing to actually, it's the voice piece. And I think, like you say, it's that them being able to take action with their own voice and helping learners instead of us telling them what they should be doing, getting them to actually ask the questions, getting them to actually ask what they're doing, gets them to know what their voice matters and what they can do with their voice in a positive way. And I think I love it. So, and I really like what you share, because that's really actionable in the classroom and a little takeaway, because that's what I'm trying to do in the show as well, is talk about the why, but also talk about the how. And thank you for that takeaway as well.
Oh, hello there. We're just going to press pause in the interview for a little minute, because we have this amazing toolkit that we're going to be sharing every single week. And I really wanted to share some practical things that you can take away each week, because some feedback from the last session was, thank you, Naomi, for making me think about the why and making me think about what my learners need, but how does that look like in the classroom? How can I actually put that into my space, or with if it's parents, how can I actually bring that into my conversations with my children? So you said, and we answered, and this is the toolkit that you get every week along with the session. And if you're watching in the video, then you can see the little visuals that you get. But if you are listening on audio, then you'll be able to get the link in the bio to the blog post that gives you all these free resources as part of it. So I'm really excited to share this with you. We've collaborated with Chris Smith, like you can see below, who's also the wee Scottish puzzle guy, and he just cracked me up. I heard him in a podcast, and his passion for maths literally shone through whenever he was talking, and I really, really liked the way he got his learners thinking about maths. And so as part of these top tip takeaways, we are actually going to be looking at STEAM. So sometimes STEAM can be a project, sometimes STEAM for me can be how we integrate in these areas into our learning as well. And so as part of the math element of this, we're going to be working on Conundrums, because Chris Smith has actually been, throughout this coronavirus, all the world's been turned upside down, but he's been really trying to shine positivity through in that space. And so these Corona Conundrums are a really great way to have problem solving, either into your digital space if you're only online, or into your physical space if you're in the classroom. And I'm actually going to show a little video of some of the learning that we've done this week, because we've actually done this problem already with my learners and they loved it. Like, some of my learners who could only do one solution because that was their level, they really enjoyed being able to access that. But some of the learners, I think I had one learner who done 32 solutions, because they were just really excited about what does it mean and the open-endedness of it. Is it right? Is it not right? Can I use a half a line? Can I use a long line? And all those conversations were, it didn't mean that I was guiding it, it was them guiding it themselves. So it was really great to have. So I don't need to mention it anymore. I'll let Chris explain what the next Corona Conundrum is. And if you can, or if you want to get involved, I would love to see what your solutions are from your learners, and get it sharing with each other as well, from all around the world. So yeah, without further ado, here is Chris Smith introducing his Corona Conundrum. I hope you enjoy. Good luck with your challenge.
Hello and welcome to the Challenge Championship with Empathetic Educators. I'm Chris Smith, your wee Scottish puzzle guy, and we're really looking forward to seeing all of your answers to this week's conundrum. Here we go. You got to really plan your journeys during coronavirus. You know, you find that you're out on your walk, and then there's that awkward shuffle where you go to one side to avoid someone else who's on the path, and they go the same way, and then you go to the left, but they've gone the same way, and you end up, it's just cringy and awkward. So you've got to plan your journeys. And so today's puzzle is about planning your route. So your task is to connect the points A, B, C, D using 3 straight lines. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That connects A, B, C, D, but that is using 4 straight lines, so that's not allowed. No. What about if we did instead this? 1, 2. No, the lines that connect the dots, there's only 2 of them, so that's not allowed. What about something like this, where I do 1, 2, 3. This time I've used 3 lines, but we don't quite get to this point C, so that's not allowed. So is it even possible? Well, maybe we could do something like this. 1, 2, 3. So there's an example. I'll give that a big yes, will I? This one's allowed, right? So I have managed to connect A, B, C and D using straight lines that go from one point to the next. And your task is to come up with as many different ways as you can of connecting all 4 points using 3 straight lines.
So I'll look at we're gonna put up the next video now, but I am just buzzing. My brain literally is like of these conversations.
I just have to say that as people are like lifting up books, I'm surrounded with books, and it is wonderful to be in a space where people are like, oh, and this book, like, oh, my heart is so full right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think on the other end of it too, like having an understanding of that is also being able to show vulnerability to your kids when you are struggling and when you are having a hard time. And I remember specifically, I lost my first dog, Kobe. This is my first. I know it sounds weird. It's like the first thing that I really cared about that ever died in my life. Like I never had a person in my life die. You know, I never had a pet. Like I had like a budgie when I was a kid, and that died, and that was horrible. But not the connection that I had with my dog. And I had to go back to school because of whatever reason. I probably would have taken a day off if I had the choice at that point. And I actually talked to my students, said like, hey, I'm having a really rough day. I lost my best friend basically today. And I'll tell you that this is when I was a principal. And I'll tell you that the conversations and the love and care that came from the kids was really powerful because they actually saw me as more than a principal. They saw me as a person that also was a principal. And I think it is important that we are comfortable sharing some of our struggles, sharing some of those things, because kids look up to teachers, and I know I did, as like these perfect human beings that have no flaws, know everything, and just are these incredible people that don't have anything. But you know, we all struggle, we all have issues, and I think there's a better understanding when kids see that, because I think a lot of times kids will hold on to stuff because they see you as perfect. So if you know that, I don't want to show that because then it makes me look weak, as opposed to like, hey, actually me being able to talk about these things and share them is actually a source of strength, and is, you know, being able to ask for help is a source of strength. That to me is really important as an educator, you know, when we're working with students and colleagues too. And I think colleagues need to see that as well, because I don't know everything. I don't always, you know, I'm not always happy. But having conversations with that, I think really helped to work with my staff as well.
It's really funny because this has cropped up the last couple of weeks. I've been doing obviously a lot of podcast interviews and stuff, and it keeps cropping up this about I might cry now. I like crying. So you know my second book, which I will send you guys. This is the one I did for my mummy, and I was doing a Kindness Matters Super Learning Day to 150 year 8s, so year 9s, and it's all about, you know, managing your emotions, being a decent, kind human being. We're really going to the psychology of taking the mask off and being true to the authentic self, and saying, look, you're still learning. This is why you want to, you know, do this monkey see, monkey do, copy your friends, not think of the consequences. And as you get through the day, I think it's about the third period, bearing in mind we've got a hall full of 150 kids, and it's just, the energy is phenomenal. And they've seen my backstory, and then this one kid, Liam, stood up and he just went, bearing in mind, my mum had just died the week before, right, of cancer. I had to get back out on the road. I had so many bookings. I didn't want to let the kids down. I thought a week's enough to grieve. So I went back out on the road when I was advised not to. I stood up in front of this audience, and only 2 of my volunteers that was working with me on my team knew this. So we all had a bit of a prayer in the morning. We all had a bit of a gathering. I got my energies right. And I thought I'd it boxed. I was in the zone. I had them all bouncing. The energy in the room were phenomenal. And then this Liam said to me, "So what happened to your mum in the story?" And I just crumbled. I just crumbled, man. And they all went, like, the volunteers looked at me. And I was like, I just got really choked up. And I said, because I didn't want him to feel bad. And I just told him, I thought, I'm not going to lie to the kid. I said, "Liam, my mother has made a transition." And he like looked at me, and the kids were like, she's died. And I was like, I was really, like, I was upset, I was crying. And I just said, "But it's okay." I said, "It's okay, because this is me. This is me. This is me. And, you know, it's okay. And the people we love do die. And it's the hardest lesson that you'll ever have to learn in life. And nothing ever prepares you for it." And what happened then, it sort of morphed into another lesson. But it was the authentic self. And it was like the gentleman just said about showing them, you know, your true nature. Now, some people might disagree with that and say, "Oh, no, you can't say that because they'll take your kindness as a weakness." But I say, some people may take your kindness as a weakness, but it's better to be true to yourself than to be something you're not. And I've shared that. I shared it on a podcast last week about crying in front of kids, and it's only happened this last few years since my mum passed. And just being okay about if grief comes up, whether it's on the bus, if it's in my case, it was in bed the other week. I didn't see it coming. It just come out of nowhere. I was missing my mum. I just wanted my mum. And it's okay. I think it's okay to show that side to pupils. And I think something magical comes from it.
Oh my God, like I got a bit teary in that as well. Thank you for sharing. Like it's so important. Just, but it also normalizes that every emotion's all right. Like it just normalizes the whole thing. And I think like what I've been talking a lot about in the last couple of chats I've had is like acceptance versus expectations. And I think like whenever we're expecting to always be like this certain way, I think like George said it and you said it, if like you're sharing how you actually are versus what you're expecting yourself to be, that's helping the learners kind of be like that as well. So like it's the same as me being away from home. Like I've had my dog pass, like George said, and then I've had my granddad pass, so being away from home, and like being away from home, having those things happen, and like whenever you're not away, that's like the downside to actually being away. Like it's a year of fun. I love being away from home, but whenever those big like life changes happen, whenever you're not at home, you have to really look inside and think like, okay, how am I going to cope with this? Who am I going to share it with? And like George said, and like you said, I shared it with the learners. Like I found out whenever I was at school, actually that happened, and I was allowed to go home for like the rest of the day. But before I did, like the learners were like kind of asking me, and I just said, "This is what I'm feeling right now. This is what happened." And they then were able to show empathy to me, like for the rest of the week, or like asking me how I was, and actually sharing that with them helped them be able to know what I was acting like and what I was being like, and give a bit of kindness, like that exactly kindness, give a bit of kindness to me, but also they could see how they could be kind to themselves, and it was okay to feel like that too. So it's, yeah, I love it. It's such a good message.
I'm like, I had a moment where I had some chills during your story, John, and but I thought it was beautiful. I'm gonna get choked up probably as I respond, because like you brought us there in your telling of it. So, all right, I'll pull myself together to tell the story. But I would just say that I begin each of my lessons in my classroom, especially now, with a check-in, and whatever kind that is. And a lot of times the ones that we use in our classroom, my school uses Pear Deck and other things like that, where they call them like a stress check at the start. And oftentimes students will put themselves on a particular scale. And I find that I needed a way to respond in that moment, right? Like I needed something that I was going to say. And I remember on that those beginning days, students, I could feel that they were not being authentic with where they were putting it. They were putting themselves where they thought I wanted them to put them. And I said, it's okay to be wherever you are. And then I saw some start to move, right? Like they were moving more to the red zone. And I said, my job is never here to change where you are. You are where you are, and that is okay. And I hope that when we're in this hour, the 75 minutes together, that this is a place of comfort. This is a place of safety, but you are where you are. There is a lot going on in the world, in your own lives, for you, for your family, whatever the reasons are. And if you want to talk about it further, then we can do that. You can message after, but just letting people know that, it is not my job to make them, quote, happy. That isn't my job. My job is to respond to them. My job is to be open to them. My job is to let them know that it's okay to feel whatever they feel, and that is part of life, and that it is human to feel all of those things.
Well, that's us back again with our top tip takeaways toolkit, but this time we actually are joined by Green Screen Gal, aka Erika 𝕊𝕒𝕤𝕤𝕤𝕤, and she just blows me away every time I see her amazingness online. And like she says, Green Screen Gal, she tries to bring green screen, tries to bring technology. So this kind of like the science element weaving in with the technology element of the STEAM toolkit that we're bringing away from us. And myself and Erika are really, really passionate about well-being, and this is what this is basically about. Like it says, neuroscience made simple. And for me, well-being is just the core of everything. Trying to understand ourselves, that's why empathy is so important. Trying to understand ourselves so that we can understand others. And so as part of this element, it's going to be keeping your key. So you'll be able to see the little intro in this, and it's all about understanding how you can keep your key, how you can remain in your driving seat of your car, by understanding what your brain's doing whenever you're maybe having a bad day, whenever you're maybe getting annoyed about something, whenever you're getting worried or anxious about something. How can you understand what's happening to your body, and what steps can you use to regain that key and regain being in the driver's seat? So you're going to get some takeaways, and we wanted to make it child friendly as well, that we can actually use it with the learners. So again, it's a takeaway that you can use in the classroom. You can send it out as a digital space if you're only online, and it's just really transferable across as many year groups as possible. So again, without further ado, I am so excited to be collaborating with Erika, and I'm so grateful to have her amazing skills in this space too. So I hope you enjoy, and I would love to hear how you've used it, or what you've used it for in your classroom too. So enjoy. Think about how you can keep your key. Have you ever felt angry, frustrated, or super sad, and maybe reacted with blocking it out, disappearing, or shutting down? Sometimes we react with tears. Sometimes we retaliate or get even, or hide behind hurtful messages, which usually we regret. And sometimes we let it out verbally or physically as well, which can lead to dangerous harm. Let's pause and think, why do we lose control of our emotions? Let's take a quick look at the science. Over to Erika.
Have you ever heard of flipping your lid? Our beautiful brains are made up of different parts for thinking, your emotions, and your stress. And they communicate well together, but when they disconnect, kind of like when someone triggers you, your fight or flight jumps in and they stop communicating. And that's when we attack, or we cry, or one of the other emotions that comes out. So when this trigger or stimulus happens, we have reactions that are autopilot, whether it's anger or sadness. So with a little bit of mindfulness, we can get our brain back in sync, working together. So instead of reacting, we pause and then we respond. Our response is better for our mental health, but also our relationships.
So before you flip your lid, try to pause and think about these strategies. You could talk to someone you trust. You could try one of your hobbies. Or you could reach out to some friends. You could take time for a walk or a nap or exercise or just have a little dance. But most importantly, pause and breathe before responding in your pain. You can practice breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. We're going to practice trying this 5-finger technique. Give it a try. Going up your finger, breathing in. Going down, breathing out. Going up the mountain, breathing in. Into the valley, exhaling, breathing out. Inhale up the mountain. Into the valley, breathing out. And help your heart and brain reconnect. So you can think about making a more peaceful response. It's good to be truly heard and not causing any unnecessary harm. Thinking about kindness, love, and empathy.
But like I said, I am so grateful for you guys to be here today and sharing your insights, and there's just so many powerful things that you guys are doing in the background with kindness and with innovation and with the work. But I think you guys have shared obviously the kindness matters, and I'll put the link in there for all the wonderful things that you're doing. And obviously, Stephanie, can we talk as part of your session? I'll put the link as part of our show as well. But is there any just final takeaways, just like something that really means a lot to you, or just like what you've been working on just before we leave, just closing off the show? Stephanie, do you want to go first?
Sure. I think I mentioned at the start maybe just a little bit about the Can We Talk piece, and then connecting it to some takeaways. So Can We Talk EDU has sparked it. Really, it's rooted in personality and learning styles, but I really continued to hone in on that. I need to learn, and I need to always be willing to learn and open to learning and open to growth. And so I've put together these monthly challenges, and that's one of the pieces that I'm kind of most proud about with the project, is that there are these monthly challenges. So no matter what your of the 4 colors personality type, students and teachers can do it. Parents have been talking to me about doing it as well. And it's about learning from the others. And so it is rooted in that space of empathy. So I personally really like it because it gives you something actionable that can teach you. And it's been helping me. It gives me a thing to work on each month as well. And so if you are a gold, a green, a blue, or an orange, those are the 4 kind in the True Color Survey, gives you something that you can do with it, and how you can work on being a better collaborator, a better partner, a better person in a classroom, a better child, a better parent, all of those pieces, so that you're more open. So I love that. And I feel like this whole, it is the root of all, right? That piece, that relationships are the foundation of everything. It is where we start our pathway each year. When John talked about starting with the why, that is, we start with that Simon Sinek talk in our pathway as well, like all of it all comes together. But really at the core of that why is that there's a foundation of a relationship that is built there, that you are able to really be asking knowing your authentic why is about knowing your relationship to yourself and to the world and to what you really want to do and what you want to share and who you want to be and all of those pieces, right? Like you have to understand yourself in order to really be able to connect and understand other people. And so I think if we give people the tools that will help them to connect with others, then we will be more successful in the building of those relationships.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And I'm definitely going to put that link in because there's really great challenges going on. Stephanie, what you're doing. So I literally love it. I'm so excited. And I'm also going to add in Simon Sinek is on my vision board. I've got a vision board of people I want to put onto my show. So I'm just going to put it out there. I'm going to put it into the world and say, I'm putting it out and saying that's hopefully going to be something that happens next year. That's where my put on my timeline. So we'll see what happens there. And yeah, John, so maybe your last little takeaways for what you've been working on and how it all ties.
Yeah, just lovely. It's just so nice. Thanks for helping us all connect together. Just Stephanie, you're just a lady after my own heart, and it's just lovely to hear, your words and your authenticity and sharing, what makes you tick. Yeah, it's lovely that. Yeah, for me, it's kindness all the way, really. This next month, as we know, a lot of people know, it's 13th of November, World Kindness Day. Many years to get to this stage now, and all around the globe. I'm really excited to we're building the YouTube channel, and it's going to be amazing. Can't get out under the Super Learning Days, so we're going to do it online, and to be able to do it with primary school kids is going to be phenomenal. So when I first wrote the lesson plan, which is where the book came from, which was RAYOK, Random Acts of Kindness, I chose 4 areas where children had to focus on in no particular order. There was like school, friends, family, and the community. And I talk a lot about unity in the community. Because when you look at the word community, it's got unity in it. Unity in the community. We talk about, we, as human beings, when we collaborate and we come together, how there's beautiful, magical things happen. But what I want to do a little bit different this time for the kids, which is, I've been struggling myself emotionally this year, because I'm really feeling children's pain. I'm really feeling it. It's what they call in Buddhism, they call it dukkha, suffering. So all human beings, are faced with suffering. But I'm really feeling it with children, and I'm doing everything in my power and with my words of power to let them know that it's okay and we can move through this. So I'm going to start the Super Learning Day. It's every hour on the hour on World Kindness Day. Just a cheeky plug. It's free all around the world. The kindness coach will be on there. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Because they'll be in different bubbles, you see, in different time zones, so they can go on later. But I'm going to do something a little bit different. So that the 4 main areas, like I said, in no particular order: school, family, friends, community. But I'm going to start with self. What can we do to regulate ourselves? And like Stephanie said quite rightly before, I have my own model. It's called the mood meter. And I do exactly what Stephanie said. I said, look, if you're not feeling good today, man, you need to tell me. You need to level with me, and level with yourself. Just be honest with yourself. It's okay to say, I'm on a 3. I feel angry. Whatever. What the children give their linguistics to each. As you go over the 5, it goes into the green zone, but below the 5's a red zone. 5's always like an okay, but I show them how our moods or emotions change throughout the day, and how different person's actions, including our own, can alter this mood. But then I share one of the best ways to do it if you're feeling in the red zone is just to go out your way to be of service. Just go out your way to be kind. And 9 times out of 10, what you do comes back to you. And I can testify to that. I get more of a buzz and vibe when I, set my intention to impact somebody else's life for the better, with good intentions, no hidden agendas, good intentions. And it's just wonderful because I see that interaction happen. And with kids, it's even quicker because kids are like sponges, aren't they? They come on, they're like, and they're just learning so much. So yeah, just kindness matters, and it is the one to get the relationships, because the framework I use, and you'll like this, Stephanie, is, and I teach these teachers, because you get some that wrestle with it saying, oh, no, because they'll take advantage of you being soft with you. Well, is that working for you, what you're currently doing? And I say, no, when they know you care, because Maya Angelou said, didn't she, people forget what you say and what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So we get the kids to know that it's Maslow, they're safe, they're secure, they're all right, they're warm, blah, blah, blah. So they feel your kindness, that's kindness, caring, yeah? And then the cultivation comes with rapport. Stephanie, you was already doing it before, telling about your kids, what's been going on, the time you've had off, and it's getting that, and then we get the rapport. So they see us as just normal. And once they get that, relationship. So kindness, rapport, relationship. And there you go. That is when we change the world in the future, because the kids are the future.
Wow, I am just so excited for this first episode. I'm so grateful for all the amazing educators who've been involved. We had Stephanie and John throughout our show, reflecting on our George Couros episode. We had the amazing Erika 𝕊𝕤𝕤𝕤𝕤𝕤𝕤 as part of our science takeaways. We had Chris Smith with our maths takeaways. And I'm also going to put the post in for our technology and arts takeaways as well as part of our toolkit. So grateful for all this involved, and I'm so excited to keep working on our Twitter chat, so getting more and more educators involved, sharing the top tip takeaways and how we can help each other just move forward. And down below is our amazing top tip takeaway for your chance to be part of our live webinar for empathetic educators with George Couros, which is happening on the 5th and 6th of December 2020. It's the end of the 2020, so we're going to have some fun. It'll be around Christmas time for some of us who celebrate it. So it'll be a really great time just to be together and share some takeaways with George. And you get a chance to actually be part of the show. There are 6 people who are going to be coming to be part of the show. Those people are going to be drawn from the Twitter chat, and as well people who apply from the show. So be in it to win it. You can either apply on here to be part of just attending the webinar, or you can click if you want to put your name forward to be part of the show, asking George Couros questions, sharing your insights, and just having fun along the way. So from myself and our prospective panda, thank you for joining in, and make sure if you want to join in with Global Light Unite. That's happening every Thursday, and you can get your own panda like we told you in the show. So I am just so grateful and so happy and buzzing to be part of this and sharing your insights. I look forward to hearing your top tip takeaways. You can contact me at Naomi_Toland on Twitter and use the hashtag empathetic_educators. You can share your top tip takeaways from this session. I hope you enjoy and just have a great week. Remember, our choices have an impact. So what impact are you going to have? See you soon.